becomes much more of a magic damage dealer, taking advantage of his boots and just making sure you Firefly all over the place. And his laning, of course, is still really strong. And that's still happening. You didn't stop that whatsoever, right? You didn't pick a hero that could have beat better in the mid lane. I mean, I think there were a couple options that you could still run, but in the end, you're gonna struggle a bit early, and I think Lorinov should still have a decent game. I'm liking more the draft for Gambit, but I can see the Alchemist cheese happening anytime, right? So you always have to be careful with the Alch.
Yeah, that's true. You do have the Nyx Assassin for him in the jungle, though, so I'm going to be a little bit surprised, to be honest, if it works. I'm going to be stronger for this Gambit draft than you seem to be anyway. I prefer it a little bit more.
I'm okay with that, but I just, you know, whenever you see an Alchemist, there's always that point in my head where you think, like, an Alchemist makes you throw away everything you've done about Dota because the game becomes about him. So if they do manage to get an early good Alchemist draft, I think Alchemist versus TP is also decent for the first 30 minutes of the game. Because like I mentioned, heroes with good attack speed can easily build into mixed damage, and that's particularly counters TP, right? So you can see the Alch this game. Seeing an old build, for example, with a Maelstrom, maybe even, just to have that against the TP, and then eventually a Mjolnir, of course. And I use that as a farming item as opposed to the more popular Battle Fury that you see these days. Alternatively, Radiance is also fine this game. I think it's not as much burst damage against TP, though.
No, that's the thing I really wouldn't like Alchemist to see go for those. That's the problem with the Nyx Assassin, right? Because then you just get ganked super easily in your jungle, and those kills are almost free. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Radiance is a good build this game, simply because the Nyx exists. It's too risky.
That's true. I agree with that. That's why Maelstrom I like more, but it's still the same kind of risk with Nyx, but at least it's more controlled.
It is. It's more controlled, and you're very less likely. At least if you're going to know the Nyx is coming, and you get a chance to get off the Chemical Rage.
Yeah, and if you're not attacking stuff, it's not going to bounce to him, especially if you don't see him, so that's another point to be made. The lane doesn't seem too difficult for them against the Beastmaster. I think Alch can somewhat deal with the harassment early. Level 3, we'll see if this changes. Nyx is not the best laning support, even with a mana burn build. Mid lane, though, we're... Actually, Lycan is doing fine. Top lane, Blizz is going to die thanks to Pantomim. That was a nice little Purifying Punch towards the end, and yeah, it's difficult to lane this until you hit level 3 when your boards can actually do something to the Alch, and Alch is very conditioned to just go for your boards directly, because you have Greevil's Greed to make them worthwhile.
That's actually a really good point. The Oracle as well with a really nice attack range.
Yeah, he's great against Beastmaster.
Terrible damage, but great range to just continue annoying him.
Nice. I completely forgot, you know, the full efficiency of taking sentries out with the Alch. Extra 15 gold.
That does work, even though sentries give plus 0 gold.
Yep, because every unit works, which is why I think it works on zombies too.
It does, yep. There's a lot of really good Envy Glimpse yelling at his teammates to not destroy Tombstone so he can just farm gold.
There's just a lot of good Envy Glimpse, period.
Very true.
If I ever made a Dota, I would love to make a Dota wiki one day where everything is explained, just Envy shouting at his teammates, you know, one clip for every single
That'd
thing.
be great, actually.
And people would definitely enjoy
This
it.
Lycan is actually off to a fantastic start here,
really
quite
well.
surprisingly. I think that's mostly to do with the fact that it's still only level 2 Napalm. Maybe level 5 we're going to be beginning to see a little bit of a shift, especially here with the Arcane Aura from the Maiden. He's going to be pretty free to just continue spamming these Napalms, using Firefly quite liberally, and already we see Lycan somewhat off to the jungle for now here, just farming a quick little camp, as he's going to be going straight for the naked Necrobook.
See, but I think Lorinov is playing this lane appropriately. If you want to really win the lane, you would go for a Flame Break build and push a Lycan out, you know, show that you can win the lane as well. But he's going for a build that is purely kill potential. The idea is that since Lycan is not building boots, he's going to be super slow. You Firefly on top of him, dive the tower, and there's nothing they can do to help him. Unless the Oracle TPs in time. So the whole point is Blizzy harass the Oracle enough so they can't TP immediately, and I'm just going to go get the kill, as he now secures the minute 4 room. No support rotations to do this.
Yeah, no supports rotating over, which is a bit surprising, but the Nyx Assassin does need to stay top here to continue applying pressure. Our TB as well is having a little bit of a difficult time, but he now does have about a third duration left of the Metamorphosis. Level 2 now, so doing a bit more damage. He's able to fight off the Rubik with the Mirror Images alone, which gives him pretty much the free reign over this lane for now.
Yeah, Legion he struggles against TB because he can't trade easily. Top lane though, they go for the Alch. Nice Fortune's End to root both of them, but the Boar slows the Alch. Can they get the kill? No! Instead, Pantomim actually murders the Boar, making sure that the Alch can get away with a nice little salve there. Diracho is quite happy with this.
Yeah, that's going to be the advantage of having the Oracle, basically, against 2 melees. He rarely could ask for a much better lane than this one for an Oracle. So he does tend to get crushed in lane versus most people, but when you draft 2 melees against him, he's going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, because when you trade against supports, you only can trade with when your combo's available, right? And you're great then, but any other time you're trading against them, you feel very weak. Yep. Despite your superior BAT,
And if you do trade with your combo, then you don't have that for a kill potential, you don't have it for a save, so that presents other openings for better teams to then exploit that. As we have now the 5-minute wagon here. Lorinov is probably just going to be looking for farming. And yes, you said it earlier, this is a killing build, but it's also the farming build.
It's true, the most effective I've taken Ancients, which also, can we check if there's any Ancient stacks yet made for Lorinov? No, it doesn't seem like it. Okay, interesting. Because usually mid-Bat Rider, because he has so much experience early, he's much more effective at taking Ancient stacks despite the nerf. Whereas off-lane Bat Rider did get hit pretty hard with that nerf. And mid-lane doesn't care, honestly, because you have so much damage from Firefly anyway. And it's more, for Bat, it's more about the magic resist being taken away from Ancients than it is about the sticky napalm dealing extra damage to creeps. Nice deny there by Pupper as he announces it. Very happy with himself.
Rubik's heading mid lane to try and contest the rune. The DD will spawn top. I presume Rebel knows about it. Yep, he's just going to deny it with the wolves and run away. Defend the tower, coming out of the jungle. Very good awareness, right? A lot of people might just AFK jungle with the Lycan, but he knows he needs to push out this wave lest he lose a lot of map pressure, or a lot of control anyway.
And he's got really good lasses, honestly, against the Bat Rider. He's not giving him any chance to take advantage of his build. Here's the equivalent of when you... Wait, sorry, the... Rubik could be in trouble, Metamorphosis has been popped, Teshercat just fighting against Pubber. Teshercat really committing for this kill. Nice overwhelming odds to get the extra speed on the creeps. But unfortunately, they don't have the damage to really bring down Pubber. I think TB with meta is too scary for Legion. In fact, Teshercat needs to get away. Yeah. That's just free hits that you're giving Zani.
Yeah, especially maybe with a regen on the way, that would explain it. But yeah, that's a very bold move to be making with no regen left here. Just taking 2 free CS out from a TB. He'll do that all day. Doesn't miss any CS, and potentially now a first kill as the Bat Rider running on over. Easy kill with the lasso there into the waiting arms of his friendly little demon.
Well played.
Zani, right?
Zani, yeah, Zani, yes. And thanks to Kips, by the way, for the pronunciation. We're trying to do our best. We never know. When you get a Cyrillic name, you never know. Is this written in actual Roman letters or is it Cyrillic? Should I pronounce it that way? You never know.
You never know. Make that our Oracle, most likely dead. Does have the Fairy Fire to bait him out a little bit more, but Blizzy quite tanky here already.
Level
Had the ulti now. Yeah, the boar does make a big difference. And they have booted both the Legion and the Rubik out of the lane here, so that's going to allow TB to very, very comfortably transition into the jungle. He's more or less pretty happy with how this went. 45 and 12 is not amazing, but into the jungle already, he's going to be happy to do that.
But the concern is, though, that you're giving a Lycan and Alchemist a fair amount of space, and Bat Rider did a good rotation, but unfortunately it was bottom, so you can't turn that rotation into a tower. But you could, but it's the useless tower. In CIS, they do it more often than not, taking the offlane tier 1, but still not as much. And that's why I think Pat should probably go top, taking advantage that Blizzy already has a fair amount of farm. The Alk will be going for Battle Fury, so no weird builds, just traditional builds. I think this is the middle ground, right? Between the Maelstrom Radiance we're talking about, right? Not so greedy and bad as Radiance, but still not effective for anything but farming.
Making sure to kill the Hawk before he goes. I hate nature. Unfortunately, he gets the Hawk but misses the ward here quite crucially, so he probably thinks it's going to be quite safe, especially with this fresh Sentry ward placed down, but little does he know, that might come back and bite them in the butt here. 7-minute duration left on that, so make sure to check the jungle in a little bit for a potential Nyx Assassin gank. You can even see he's still hanging out here. He's going to lose it.
Look, TB is doing a typical walk now towards the triangle. Most TBs do this. If you actually watch RDO, very good TB will always do this, where you actually leave the support just have experience and defend the lane, and in exchange, you just go to the triangle and farm safely. Teshercat knows this as well and wants to punish this by trying to duel the CM. Not going to happen just yet. Instead, they rotated Rabel, and they should be able to get this tower relatively easily.
Yep, I think this is the level 2 Necronomicon,
that is
right?
Level 2.
Yeah,
that
okay.
is level 2. You can tell by the size of the Necros.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure, though. I'm sitting further from the monitor today.
I am a Lycan spammer, so that's why as well.
They're going to go tower for tower here. Zani does have himself the meta to use. Obviously, he doesn't want to use it yet in case they try and defend.
Oh, interesting. He maxed meta. That's interesting. Usually you don't see this on TV, by the way. Usually the popular build on TV, if you watch like very common TV players like RTO, Costabile, or Sammy Boy, for example, particularly All-American for some reason, they like to take 2 points of meta, max cut your image first, even 1 point of reflection for fights, and then they max meta. So it's interesting that he maxes meta first. Not the most common build in competitive, at least in Pale. Nice, saying covers life.
Yeah, they don't want to feed Teshercat here any dual damage.
You see, though, what I was talking about in the draft, where Lycan is just sending his units, and he doesn't actually have to commit himself. So Lycan is very safe, he stays behind, keeps farming, but his units might have still killed Pubber. So they force rotation just with units, which as far as they're concerned is a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, he was there as well. He was just too slow to keep up. He was macroing, I suppose, himself on over as well, trying to body block. But of course, he's got no chance to body block a Maiden. I mean, she is swift as the wolves of Ice Rack. After all.
You try to body block a Maiden, you're like, wait, am I just faster than her? It's so difficult because she's just walking forward. She has too little movement speed. Necros to counter Necros, I mean, they're similar timings, honestly. Not bad for Blizzy.
Oh, this is Necro 1 compared to the Necro 2. He's going to be going for a different item as they actually will get a kill there onto the Necro 2 carrier. Got a little bit too aggressive. Looks like they catch him with the Vendetta into a simple stun, and off he goes.
Vendetta will take away your Feral Impulse, which is a bit of your healing, right? Not bad. And then the top lane, which is her cat.
Oh,
there's a good opportunity. They also use the Fortune's End, and that should root the TB. Is that enough for them to catch up to him? Those ghosts, no, actually the slowing ghost didn't come in time, which means they can catch up to Xani, who's now in trouble. Duo on top, Alchemist even joins in, and that's going to be a kill for Pantomim.
He had a TP there, just
didn't have time to use it though.
Yeah, I guess not.
Because he saw the Rubik coming by as well. Does Alchemist point in a stun?
He doesn't.
Okay, so
now he does.
He just got it for
He did not before the kill. Now I checked.
Okay.
That's what I was curious. Maybe he was.
He might not know it though. It's kind of hard to guess what level Acid Spray is at, right? Like, what, you're gonna take the ticks for damage and calculate it based on your armor. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
So I can see why he might have thought, oh, they can just kill me unless I hide. He also made a misclick there up top.
It's not a big loss. He's got his Falcon Blade up and running next, going for the S&Y. So there's lots of stats here for RTB.
We have seen the Falcon Blade used a bit by heroes that need HP and mana, right? Because that's the main two attributes. Like, damage is nice, but it's most about the HP and mana, otherwise you would use drums. And they're just a substitute for drums. That's a bit cheaper. I think it's pretty good for the TB.
Necro 3 finished up here just shy of the 12-minute mark. Our Drachio Alchemist, of course, doing Alchemist things, his net worth beginning to explode already.
Not too crazy, though. He's only 2k above the Bat Rider. This is showing that at least in the lane they can control him. Shapeshift though, with a duel, they go for the Bat Rider. Hard kill, but they should be able to get it regardless. A Freezing Field does slow them down a bit, but Pummer is going to eventually die at this rate. They just use the units, and he kills the Necronomicon unit, which guarantees Rainbow the kill.
Last will, man. 500 damage on that, so it's doing...
On a CM? That's huge.
It's doing 400. The break, yep, good luck.
There's the Impale. Dude, as a Nyx, there's no way you're getting the Vendetta Impale combo on a Nike.
You simply have to open up with the Impale,
yes.
And then you're losing so much of the Vendetta damage, which is pure, right? So it really sucks to miss out on all that damage to it. There's really no other way there. In fact, I think it's a little bit greedy. I think it's personally safe to say that if you set up that Sun with Vendetta, you got Blizzard follow up with the Roar, but you do have False Promise available. That's always the catch. So yeah, it's a bit hard. You don't want to just open up with a Roar or just have them immediately get purged off. But
that's why I was surprised with the Beastmaster pick. Like, if you look at your lineup, like, okay, this is a good Beastmaster pick, right? And it's good against Alk and Lycan, but that's only if you don't have an LC and an Oracle to help you. They have so much save, and this save is particularly weak against area damage, right? Because if you stun a bunch of people, you can't save them all. But if you stun a single person with Primal Roar, False Promise, he's fine.
Yeah, he is totally fine even. The only issue is if they want to double commit there. I mean, really, realistically, you have to double commit either onto the Legion or onto the Oracle with both the Roar as well as the Lasso. That's the only way you connect on one of them and make it impactful, right?
I honestly was expecting the lanes to go much better for Gambit.
So was I.
To make the Beastmaster and the Bat Rider's other assets more palpable, right? More important. Like the Beastmaster's huge burst damage with the Zoo, the Bat Rider's huge burst or magical damage in general. I think those assets can still be used this game. But they didn't really get them, which makes me now side quite heavily with Winstrike's strat. They're doing much better.
The smoke's going to fail as well via Winstrike. They head top initially. They then are going to rotate bot lane as there was a counter smoke by Gambit, so they just kind of dodge each other out. Drachio was trying to farm as much as he could and still is.
Okay, interesting build. So you go for Battle Fury, Emili, Sanjin, Yasha, which is normal, right? Mid-game kind of battle Alk. And then you go right into the BKB. So that means that you want to fight as soon as possible, because when you get that BKB early, the idea is that 10-second BKB is one of the biggest points of inflection that you can get in Dota. You're pretty much free for a whole team fight, especially with an Oracle covering you from the Primal Roar, which is realistically, or the Lasso, which is the only thing they can do against you, right?
Does press the attack not pierce BKB?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. Interesting. I didn't know that. So yes, the Oracle.
You made me doubt it there for a second.
Well, I wasn't sure either because you said that and I was like, yeah, that sounds like an interaction in Dota. For a while, Tether didn't pierce BKB.
I was stupid though. But press the attack makes sense, right? It's a way to balance it. You can't have a Dispel that pierces BKB via also give you healing and attack speed. It's what, the second ability for Legion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's a nice balance, right? That's why in pubs many times your carry will activate BKB and be like, why don't you press attack me?
I can't do it. They're gonna go for a fight though. The shapeshift used. Missing him. Where's our Lycan?
They're going for Pumper. Oh my goodness. So remember that when Lycan activates shapeshift, in case you guys don't know this, he does get a crit on top of that on him and his units, which is what happened there to CM. He just got critted twice by both himself and his units. That's pretty ridiculous, honestly. The thing is, CM against Lycan is not that bad, much to everyone's surprise, because she can frostbite one of your units, which is nice, and Freezing Field also saves you from a good chunk of Lycan's damage thanks to the bonus armor. The problem, of course, is that you can't use Freezing Field every single fight, and you're still fodder if you can't use it, or if you don't have a team around you.
Yep. Yeah, I would say she's generally quite good at him, except for when the Lycan actually has got his ulti active. Then it becomes a little bit more tricky for the Maiden to really just about get anything done.
Lore enough, he's still being chased around. Look, there's a perch. This is the power of the new Fair Impulse. Look how little commitment the Lycan's putting to pushing Lorenoff out of lane. I'm gonna keep mentioning, it's just so good. I can't believe Ice Frog gave him this buff. It's such a good buff. It's ridiculous how versatile Lycan is. And this is the kind of buff, by the way, that I like, because this makes Lycan more versatile as a hero, gives you more options. So bad players can't play, right? Bad players will still suck with Lycan, but a good player will know how to utilize all of his assets to take advantage of it, as we're seeing here. That's why he's back in competitive, but your pubs are not seeing much like it.
SNY finish up for a TB, as he's going to be going for even more stats up next with a Butterfly. That'll give him a little bit of evasion. I don't know if it's going to save him from a duel, however. Only 10 duel damage early on for Cheshire Cat. They've not really been looking to fight too much. It's a bit of a quote-unquote greedy draft naturally, because you have two heroes that want to be jungling.
Yeah, it's mid-game greedy.
For the majority of the first 25 minutes of the game. After that, your Alpha is going to be ready to go. Your Lycan is going to be a little bit more willing to be engaging and starting fights as well. We can already see, basically, he just wants to kill a Maiden and back up is the move. But they're going to go for, it looks like a tower here in the mid lane as the Metamorphosis is activated. That'll let Winstrike know they have to make a decision. Are they going to defend it, or are they going to let this one drop?
They don't have shapeshift, so I don't know if this is a smart defense. Maybe they just glyph, wait out the time, maybe use the Oracle to be nearby. The Hawk is too dangerous as well, because the Hawk gives vision of whatever initiation you want to do. Yeah, they're going to let it drop. I think this is the wisest choice. I mean, your supports can be here, and maybe even your offlaner to put a bit of pressure, make sure they just can't get a free tier 2, but there's no point in rotating your cores. It's much better to just get your main 2 cores. Much better to let the Alchemist farm for the next fight.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you should have BKB almost done.
And in fact, they can kind of, BKB's on the way. They could even go for a little bit of a counter push here. As soon as that Metamorphosis ends, they could look to become a little bit more aggressive themselves, because now they do have this shapeshift ready. They do have this 10-second BKB on the Alchemist, which granted the Alch right now with the BKB, SNY, and Battle Fury, he's not the scariest, but you don't really need him to be. I think you just need him to be out in front and maybe toggling the aggro here for the Lycan, who's going to be a bit vulnerable without his BKB. So actually gone for Drums, and they're going to be going for the Roshan play now.
Drums build is really good on Lycan, because it makes your unit super powerful, and honestly, the item is so cheap. It's been buffed to hell with the 8 charges. The Roshan should fall relatively quickly. They have a better Roshan lineup, but they are dire, so less space control for the most part, which means that Gambit could have theoretically... They should know about this, but they just can't contest it.
Work for both of us? It better.
Yeah, the Gambit, they did know about it, but again, without the Metamorphosis up, like you said, they were really, unfortunately, able to do much about it here. DD run on the Bat Rider's not going to be the scariest thing, so Winstrike are going to continue on pushing and just doing their thing here. Nice advantage there, now in favor for these guys. And they're going to have to back off. Not a whole lot of vision as their top tower is being sieged by creeps. They're going to be able to finish this bottom tier 1 off with the mirror image illusions alone, as there is going to be a smoke play heading to try and cut them off here from the river.
Let's see. Who are they going to catch? I mean, Cheshire Cat, I think that's a blink dagger, so it's going to be the blink reveal. They're not really sure. They don't know about this. They should guess, though, because it's about the timing when Legion should have... Oh, that's perfect. He has a double damage, immediately dispelled, and Bat is going to get destroyed. Torn to shreds by Winstrike. That is the ideal kill, honestly. Taking out the enemy mid laner, also their best source of initiation, and honestly, a big source of their damage early. They wasted the shapeshift there, but I think it's worthwhile just for that kill.
Oh, I completely agree. This is going to open up the map a little bit more now. I mean, it's a Bat Rider dead for what must have been around 45 seconds here. We've got the offlane at least push it in for the Beastmaster, but he's had not really nearly the effect they're looking for this game. They are just about equal in towers, but I would be surprised if Winstrike don't make a serious effort for this tier 2 top lane.
We'll see. I mean, I don't know if Winstrike wants to commit too much to this, especially after the cliff, because you don't have the shapeshift to fight, and Bad Rider's already back with Lasso. You want to play a bit more defensively. Yeah, well, unless the tower gets destroyed like that. Oh my goodness. Never mind. With a Lycan Alchemist, yeah, I understand how much damage this Alchemist is doing, but that Hyperstone alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pure physical damage here coming out. Not pure damage, just physical damage rather from the side. Right,
raw
Lycan,
damage.
A Lycan, an Alchemist, right? So that's going to be extremely effective against the towers. Obviously, he's not going to be throwing unstable concoction at towers, but all of his abilities buff his attack speed and whatnot here. Because they're going to be looking up to really come to the push here. It's an interesting TP.
Just a farming TP, honestly, to make sure to de-push the lanes, to put some pressure on TB, to also make sure that Gambit was going to easily gank you there, so you make them waste a bunch of time and resources. You know TP is not going to do that. Oh, actually, Oracle is making them waste time and resources. Is he actually going to get away with a TP? No, they have a Yule Scepter. Alright, very cheeky TP there by the Oracle. Still heals a fair amount, though, and wasting a bunch of time for your Bad Rider. Gonna dispel himself again. Pantomime just slowly walking home. They force a second Firefly. This man's very happy with this. In fact, they almost got close enough to gank him again. Shashaket is thinking about it with his Invis Rune.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult with only the Rubik there, though. You never really know, especially with the Nyx Assassin already showing a nearby with the Yule Scepter to counter-initiate. Invis Rune, they might try for Excess Vampire now. There's going to be the Blink onto the river. Fate Bolt level 1. That's going to be... Wow, actually, I was surprised that the Mana Burn alone was really enough of a nuke damage, but it was. Yamich can secure the kill, and that's going to be another 30... Sorry, make that 20 damage for our LC.
The Rubik was like, Nyx out of the field now. And this LC is more honestly playing like an initiator and like a tanky core than she is as like the pseudo carry that sometimes Legions play as, because dual damage I don't think is that important this game. But it's still nice to get a bit of extra damage here. The duels are being successful. It's a low cooldown spell anyway.
Yeah, I definitely thought that the LC was going to get the ball rolling a little bit earlier, but honestly, Gambit never forced the issue themselves either, which is surprising because they did have heroes that could bring a fight early game that are not weak by any means. Beastmaster, Bat Rider, Nyx Assassin all come to mind. The Maiden has to be very wary of her positioning because she's basically free food for just about anyone on the side of Winstrike, but yeah, there goes another tier 2 tower now in the bottom lane. There's still no Fortify at the ready. And we still have about 50 seconds left on this Aegis.
Let's see, Diraccio with that Mineral isn't bothered whatsoever. I mean, thanks to the Aegis, he's quite safe. He doesn't depend as much on Chemical Rage and say a TP, for example, depends on Metamorphosis. You can still run away with BKB. Whereas if TP loses the meta, you're like, okay, fight's over, right?
Yeah, and of course you have the LC who is in a very convenient position. She is going to be the first line of defense. Oracle standing much further away because...
As the second line.
As
Double
the second line.
Hat.
Yep.
Very cold Oracle. He's taking the road trip with us.
Yeah,
got his hats.
We got our fluffy hats on as well.
We do.
This Alchemist, though, he's got to be a little bit careful. His Aegis is just about to expire here within a couple of seconds, 10 seconds to be exactly. But Winstrike very aware of this. They're now backing up, and they're just going to be looking to farm the enemy jungle on the way out.
Let's see, they're gonna keep on pushing here, Gambit. Or, sorry, that was the smoke.
Oh, good smoke.
To catch it from behind, yeah.
Or good scan, sorry.
Oh, the scan, yeah, catches the smoke completely. Now Winstrike should be able to fight this. Necronomicon, Excess Vampire nearby, goes for the Oracle, as the Metamorphosis activated, but the duel catches the Bad Rider, that's perfect! Lorinov is down for the count, now going for the Assassin, the bug has been squashed! And the only hero they really need to kill now, Ixani, who does get a Thunder off onto the Oracle. Oracle is accepting his death as Alchemist is slowly but steadily trying to murder Ixani. The counter Thunder by Yamich is not going to keep him alive. They cancel his TP, and Ixani was almost capable of destroying all of Winstrike, but was incapable of beating neither of their two main cores, which is the Alchemist and the Lycan. And that's exactly what Rainbow should be doing, by the way, in the team fights, chasing away the supports, murdering the backline, making sure that Alchemist can have a 1v1 scenario against this Terror.
Yeah, they tried their best. Unfortunately, the Beastmaster didn't quite catch where he was in the fight. He looked like he was trying to initiate with something, with a roar perhaps. Instead, the Nyx Assassin was the one to kick off that fight, trying to lock down the Oracle. Wasn't effective in the slightest bit at the end of the day, and now a 15k net worth lead for Winstrike. This is going to be at least 2 lanes of barracks. Without Metamorphosis, you're not going to be too scared. We still have Press the Attack at the ready for the Dispel. They're threatening for it now, Lorinov nearby. They have no False Promise, so they are going to be a little bit weak now. So there's going to be the duel. The BKB will come out first. It's countered by Draccio as well. He's falling quite low, but the healing is too much. He is still alive as they needed to lock down that Oracle and are unable to do so.
That is insane. He has no right to live here. Look at this. He walks in without the Chemical Rage even activated, and he's still not going to get killed. He knows the Legion and the Oracle are covering him, but they do catch him in the end. False Promise is ready there. And that's going to save the Alk yet again. Wow. Talk about borrowed time, huh?
That's the other ultimate. It's the ABBA.
I'm going to stab you.
Well.
It's an expression in English too, right?
No.
Is it really not?
No.
Living on borrowed time?
No, usually we say dead man walking.
It's not. Anyway, Hulk's gonna push the melee racks and the range racks, walk away as Yamich is also gonna be safe. They tried an initiation on him, didn't really work out. Another good team fight here by Winstrike.
Yeah,
and
this Alex got damage now,
I told you, dude, you never discount an Hulk ever in a pro. He cheeses you. And honestly, all they needed to do was win the lanes for Gambit, but their unsuccessful lanes led them to the situation they're in now.
He is pushing incredibly effectively as well, as they have all the tier 2s down already. Roshan, he might be respawning as soon as in 20 seconds, could be a further 3 minutes after that. There's a DD rune here conveniently placed for Winstrike, as they're going to smoke up and perhaps look for the killing blow now on a Gambit. Gambit themselves are going to sully out here into the bottom lane just to shove this one out a little bit more. They still now do have the Metamorphosis ready and available for our TB, Butterfly, but he's going to be going for Scotty next. Unfortunately, he's way too far away from that one to be currently relevant. That's going to be a long Roche as well, so 2 minutes.
It's a good solution for the Alk, Legion, Oracle, right? The plethora of
healing. All of the healing, yep.
Might have been a consideration before the Butterfly, honestly. But he decided to go for Butterfly. I think Butterflies have been redundant on TV many times because what do you help against? Physical damage. What do you already have a lot of? Armor. So do you really need that extra? I mean, again, the post on Reddit talked about it, and I kind of agreed with them because in this case, the Alk could just build MKB and get both mixed damage against your armor and a way to deal with your evasion.
Yeah.
That's a freebie.
Yeah, that is a freebie. Not only the damage build, but also basically that top lane of ranged barracks are now gone. They're going to go back and check Roshan, but be sorely disappointed when he needs a full another minute here to be ready to offer some cheese to the side of what's looking like Winstrike here at this point. 19k up. This Alchemist has basically had all but a free game. 2-0 and 5 here under Akio. He is having a very, very fun time indeed. Our Lycan, not doing too much worse though, 7-1 and 1. As he's, I mean, the thing is I don't want to, like, who carried the early game, quote unquote? It just felt like Gambit never really felt the pressure.
I just think the choice of going for 2 single target stuns versus 2 saves was just wrong, honestly. That idea limited your early game potential so much, and I think the big point was that you were trying to take advantage of the Bad Rider early, and I didn't really see the impact, particularly because he lost the lane, and I don't know, or at least tied the lane, which in this sense is losing really. And I don't know if that's Lorinov's fault for playing too defensively, or if that's because the Lycan just played a great game.
I think it's just kind of the result of the draft, right? I think if you pick something like a DP or a Pugna versus a Lycan mid, regardless of how the laning matchup actually goes, when the Lycan does want to go in jungle, he's going to lose his tower instantly, whereas the Bat Rider simply doesn't bring the same amount of pressure.
I agree.
So they just never had anything to really force the issue, force anyone mid. How many games have we seen when there's just a Tide Hunter or a Bat Rider, sorry, not a Bat Rider, a Tide Hunter or a Timbersaw sitting in the mid lane, right?
Yes.
Who does that this game?
Yeah.
And no one even had to this game for Winstrike. There's just very little tower pressure.
Yeah, that's true, and this reminds me actually of the game we casted yesterday for IPG, where we had an Invoker, we're like, oh, this Invoker's gonna pop off, he's Quas-Wex, and the Quas-Wex Invoker didn't move from his lane or do anything for the first 15 minutes, and you go, well, I mean, what's the point of picking a Quas-Wex Invoker then, right? Like, I think it defeats the purpose of the hero, and in this case, it's not fair to blame Lorinov particularly, it's just something that happened this game that they need to look at in the replay. Lorinov.
Yeah, the Courier scouted them actually from the Oracle, so they're set up opposite here. Dyer on the Radiant side, Radiant on the Dyer. We'll see whose advantage this will be, as Lorinov is going to use the Firefly preemptively.
Look how, I actually really appreciate how patient Winstrike is being. Despite them winning by so much, they still don't want to give the enemy team any chances.
Yeah, I mean, and they know. Creep are filtering in, they're pushing through bottom, so they're going to threaten tier 4s. The tier 3 top lane also is going down, as there's going to be the jump. They found the Beastmaster, a nice stun though. That means the Alchemist is going to be forced to stun himself, but they have 2 dispels. They've stacked them here, unfortunately, so they might be able to punish that, but for now, Excess Vampire is going to be the first to go. Zani now laying into the damage here onto the Oracle, as they will buy back now onto our support.
Okay. I think the Primal Roar now set up though. Stolen Primal Roar though on TV. Doesn't really matter though because he lost the Chemical Rage. He might stun himself again. He's going in for the second fight. Lycan's still alive, and now with the duel, they catch Xani and are capable of murdering him. As Deracho does the same thing against Blizzy. That's the GG. I think even when I think the GG came out because that was not a great team fight with Winstrike, not the best execution, and they still win, showcasing how far ahead they simply were.
Oh yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it wasn't really close after the laning stage here between the two teams. The Alchemist came out, he was so farmed. Lycan was able to play his game very easily as well. It just didn't seem like at any stage, I felt like Gambit, they never felt the heat slowly being cranked up by Winstrike, and eventually it was too much and they got burned.
I agree. It just seemed like that Gambit was playing the slow burn, exactly. I'm playing not to lose necessarily, but that means I'm not going to win eventually, right? Because the Alchemist will punish you. And this comes back to what we were saying earlier, where like, when you pick an Alchemist, the game just becomes about him. And no matter what playstyle you had in mind before,